Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're going to unpack the very core of Ayn Rand's objectivism, her theory of knowledge. Now, this isn't just some abstract philosophical idea, it's the absolute foundation for everything she's famous for, her defense of reason, individualism, and capitalism. And you can see why so many people are drawn to her work, right? This powerful message of individualism and self-reliance is incredibly appealing. But for Rand, this wasn't just an opinion. She believed it was a whole system, built on an objective, rock-solid understanding of reality, a foundation of absolute certainty. So here's the big question we're diving into. What if that unshakable foundation has a huge crack in it? A major critique suggests that this whole system for building certain knowledge overlooks a really crucial part of what it means to be human. Okay, so first things first, let's really get our heads around Rand's vision. Think of it like you're building a house. For Rand, knowledge is a structure you build from the ground up. You start with a solid, undeniable foundation, and then you add bricks of absolute certainty, one by one. For her, it all boils down to a three-step process. Step one is direct perception, what you can see, hear, and touch. This is your foundation. Step two, your mind takes that raw data and forms concepts by spotting common features. And finally, you integrate all these concepts into what she believed was a perfect, error-proof picture of the world. Now, this idea of a concept is absolutely central. You can think of it like a mental file folder. So to create the concept of length, for instance, you might look at a match, a pencil, and a stick. Your mind zeroes in on the one attribute they all share, length, and ignores all the specific measurements. You're isolating the essential quality. Okay, so that's the system. It sounds pretty airtight, right? Well, this neat, step-by-step process is exactly where the central critique comes in, one inspired by the philosopher Karl Popper. It asks a really simple but kind of devastating question about the supposedly perfect system. And this, right here, this is a total game changer. It shows a massive shift in what we're even trying to do. See, Rand's entire project is focused on one question. How do we build a guaranteed path to truth? But the critique argues that maybe the more important question is, what do we do when we find out we're wrong? And that's the heart of the issue. If our senses give us a direct, unfiltered feed of reality, and our logic is perfect, then where do mistakes even come from? Rand's system is so focused on producing certainty that it doesn't really have a good way to explain, or more importantly, correct the errors that, let's be honest, we all make all the time. All right, this might all be sounding a little abstract, so let's bring it down to earth and see how this clash of ideas plays out with a couple of really great examples. Okay, so picture this. You're outside on a clear night, and you look up at a star. What do your senses, your direct perception, actually tell you? They tell you it's a tiny, faint, maybe even cold little dot in the sky. According to Rand's model, that's the raw, objective data you start with. But what does our best scientific knowledge, our best explanation of what a star is, tell us? It tells us a completely different story. A star is a gigantic, furiously hot ball of nuclear fusion. I mean, nothing about that is perceivable from looking at a little dot in the sky. So how do you possibly bridge that massive gap? The critique says you can't, not if you start with perception as the foundation. The argument is that real knowledge isn't built up from our senses. It's more like the other way around. We come up with these big, creative explanations, these theories, and then we use our senses to test if they hold up. And this next example, which is actually one of Rand's own, really drives the point home. Think about how a kid learns what a table is. Rand argued that they do it by isolating its essential shape. But wait, what shape is that? Tables are round, square, rectangular, totally abstract. The critique suggests a child learns what a table is by understanding its function. It's the thing you put stuff on. It's an explanation about purpose, not just an observation of its form. So, what this all boils down to is a really fundamental choice at the heart of this whole debate. It's a choice between two completely different visions for what knowledge is even for. So you've got these two powerful models. On the one hand, you have knowledge as a fortress. It's a secure structure you build once on a bedrock of certainty, and the goal is to get to a final, proven truth. But on the other hand, you have knowledge as a journey, an endless process of guessing, being criticized, and correcting yourself, where the goal isn't to be right, but to constantly find and fix your mistakes. And that's really the provocative thought we want to leave you with. It gets right to the core of this tension. Is the ultimate prize to achieve the security of being definitively right,
Or is it to embrace the humbling but always moving forward process of becoming a little less wrong every single day?